social activism, resources, and art. Oh, my hat look crazy. Now I understand what a little bit what the women be saying. They be like, this is not good for your hair. This is not. All right. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that back. The hat messed it. It messed it all up. So this is PSA Philly service announcement. Takeover Tuesday. Tuesday takeover. Love, support, grace, social activism, resources, and art. I am the assist. Y'all know who I am. Even though I don't use that name enough, I feel like I don't use the name enough. I need to start running around and telling people I am the assist. That's who I am. And then that way I don't gotta worry about too many people saying Jarue instead of Jarue. If I just tell them my name is the assist. Cause that gets tiring sometimes, keep correcting people. And I love my name because it's a dope ass name. But before I get into that, because you know I can go on a tangent. You know, the queen, Raw Cannon, Nick, I'm in her seat. You know what I'm saying? She has the flu, y'all. I gotta call and make sure she's okay. She texted me, told me she had the flu. You know what I'm saying? And you know that comes from being exposed to a lot of running around, taking care of the children, being a wife, being a master. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you all this every time. Cause I gotta make sure that y'all understand, you know, something that a conversation that I do have with women in my life is like understanding that you're more than just mommy. Mommy is an amazing role. We've talked about it on the show. It's the hardest job in the world. You know what I'm saying? You know, especially being the mother of the planet. Uh, and but alongside and not but, you know, mommy is somebody's sister. You know, she's also somebody's coworker. She's somebody's boss. You know, she's somebody's lover. You know what I mean? And we have to be very mindful. And I think a lot of women, a lot of black women should just be more mindful that you're a lot of different people. You know how everybody be talking about they got all these alter egos and all that. Like you don't even got to make them Jones up because you're a fully dimensional person, a fully dimensional woman or a man. You play a lot of roles and take a lot of positions for a lot of different people in your life. And you know, we're social creatures by nature, so that's very important that we do understand that we can have a variety of different roles and jobs and duties. And I mean that makes your life more fuller. You're not just one thing, you know, and then when those other things pull from the one thing, if you don't understand, you'll think you're being less of a mom because you want to be more of a girlfriend that day. You know what I'm saying? You want to be girlfriend. You want to be your dude's girlfriend that day or your dude's woman that day. You want to be that all day. You don't want to be mom. And that might make you feel like, am I less of a mom? No, you're a full person that has a lot of different roles that they play and a lot of different things that they like to do and love to do and want to do. You know what I mean? So, and I think a lot of us get caught in see, the camera situation is not working. So come on, get the camera. It's not going on. It's not working. This I gotta be like this now. I gotta be like, yo, do this, do that. It's like, nah, I don't even know how to do that. If I gotta do that to you, I don't even want to work with you. You know what I'm saying? And I know some people can work, they can function, being yelled at or like from playing sports and stuff. Like I didn't mind that. Like as long as I knew that you was like into the game, like you going at it, you trying to win. I don't mind passionate. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind cats that be like, yo, what the fuck, man? What are you doing? How you been? I get it. Now you can't go too far. Don't get too crazy with the names or anything. Any names at all. But I don't mind that, in the structure of what we trying to do, because you need that. And you need that to get people back focused at times, you know? But I don't want to be doing that all the time. Like as a leader, I don't want to do that all the day. I don't want to have to keep yelling at people all day. I don't want to do that. Some people don't mind it. You know what I'm saying? I guess it kind of keeps them on their toes, But for me, nah, I don't want to keep doing that. If it come to that, I gotta be like, yo, I can't give you that type of motivation all day, every day. I can't function well like that. But I just think that's a very important thing, understanding that we have a lot of roles in our lives, and it's okay to want to be those or want to fulfill those. Like we talk about, like changing. I think for African folk, descendants of slaves, I think that we are in a stage where we need to re-look at everything, all of our social contracts and social constructs as black folk. I think that's just something we're getting to this point in America where we need to reevaluate what these relationships are supposed to look like. How are we supposed to deal with each other? I think we're at that point. Come on in. Come on in. Now, I'm very blessed, and that's a real thing, to have a lot of good people in my life. Good, like really, really good people. Like all of us are fallible. All of us. None of us are perfect. And I'm not saying that I'm not perfect as the excuse to just run amok. You know how people make that the excuse to just do whatever? Like, well, how are you gonna want any accountability from me? I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I hate when people say it like that, and I know that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep from taking accountability, but I do have a lot of good people in my life. This is one of the good people that I have in my life. He makes me feel important. I'm gonna tell y'all why he does how he does it, right? So he teaches at a university at Temple. You know what I'm saying? And that's a major thing for me. For me, being a person that transfers information back and forth, where people will be able to come to you at some point in their life and say, "Damn, something you showed me, taught me, made me aware of, changed my life or added to my life," and I'm never like, that's what I know education does, especially if you're any type of teacher. You know what I mean? In any field, any profession, if you're somebody that's actually transferring information into other people that can change their lives, that's amazing for me. And I had a interview yesterday, Fathership Foundation. You know what I'm saying? We doing par research there. We had an interview with a brother. His name is Sergio Cruz. I didn't know anything about him beforehand. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of still researching him now, so I don't really know what he's going to do with the information that he was given yesterday, but I got a feeling from him. Some people say energy. You know what I'm saying? And I got to have a conversation about energy too. But I got a feeling from him that it was going to be used properly. You know what I'm saying? And I can't wait to see it. It's a dope thing, But I was like, yo, it all started from this guy. I ain't gonna tell that story over again. We might start crying and all that. I don't want to do that. I don't mind crying, but not today. But anyway, he makes me feel important because he teaches. Teaching is very important to me. Education is very important to me. Just what education is, we have to determine what that is. Is education is education used so you can be the proper handle of power? Is education to train you to fit a certain role in the society that you're in? Like, what is education? Like, how do you determine what education is? Is being intelligent working towards your best interest? Or is being intelligent just knowing information? You know what I'm saying? And you can speak to it, you can talk to it, but it doesn't necessarily have to serve you. I know people who have information that doesn't serve them. So is that is he intelligent because he has that information? Or now I know the answer to these questions for myself, but I'm just saying, one of those things that we have to figure out as black folk in this day and age, what is education? I've heard people say soon it's not going to be no public schools. That's where they feel like it's going towards, where everything is going to be for pay. So the fact that a lot of kids are being left out of school is not really a big problem, because soon school is just going to be for pay. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It looked like it can happen. But so now, again, that comes in another one of those social things that we need to redefine for us. Like, what is it going to look like for us? So again, the reason why this brother makes me feel important, because he teaches, and he actually asks me to come and speak to his class for what I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I just be talking, and they seem like they be into it. They seem like they be into it. So, we be riding like that.
For what? I don't know.
Nah, but I'm just saying that to say I really appreciate him, and he's an important person, and I wanted him to be on the show because he's just somebody that's very, outside of him being my brother, he's just somebody that's very versed in things that go on in Philadelphia. Whether we talking about politics, history, he's somebody that know about it. Like, you can ask him good questions about, and that's crazy, private and charter. Yeah. And that's my brother Miles, the executive producer. You know what I'm saying? He probably got the flu too. You know what I'm saying? He been around. You know what I'm saying? But yo, that's my family. I always let people know I love them. I always appreciate my folks. I'm one of them people. Like I don't mind telling people that I love them, that they're good people to me. You know what I mean? And they're good people because I don't genuinely deal with people who are shitty people to other people. And I'm saying that you somebody I love so much. You know? I don't genuinely deal with people like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, the brother makes me feel important because he brings me around and he asks my opinion and stuff like that. And I'll be like, hey, what? Why? So I'm just playing.
anyone that knows Rue knows he's important.
Nah, thank you. I do consider myself to be a great man. I will tell y'all that. And I work towards it, you know.
Sometimes he humble, sometimes he not.
Sometimes. But so he knows a lot about different things in Philadelphia. So one of the first things after you tell people who you are,
right,
professionally, you know, and all that, let them know. But I want to know some things about school. Like if somebody can't get into school because they can't get their exit papers, is it a deadline for you to be able to get to another school? If it's a delay on your exit papers, is it for whatever reason you can't get them?
About college or elementary?
No, for high school. High school. So you want to leave the school that you at, and you found you know what school you might want to be in, and you can't get your exit papers.
Yo, off the top of my head,
Hey, man, I got everybody so hyped up, and we can't get the answer to the question. But if anybody,
it's a form. There's a form.
Yeah, if anybody who has any information that's in the chat about the exit paper process, because I don't know a lot about it. I didn't even know that was a thing, that you had to have exit papers and all of that. I didn't know.
You have to fill out a form, an official form, based on the No Child Left Behind laws. You have the opportunity to apply to any school, right? Whether or not that school will let you in is one thing, but you have to fill out, I think it's an EH34. I don't know if they've changed it. It's been a while since I used that process. Since, you know, my daughter, we used it for her when she was in 3rd grade. We were in West Philly, wanted to go to a school in South Philly.
Right.
So we used that form to allow her to switch from the neighborhood school in our area to another school.
Okay.
And that was another neighborhood school. So there's a form, EH34, I think is what it was. I don't know what it is now. It's my daughter is older now. So it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. I was hoping you said Sammy or somebody like
that. No.
From you saying your daughter is like, this is outdated information. Yeah. He's not helping us.
You know, but the laws haven't really changed as far as I know.
I mean, we're gonna find out, because this is the thing. We can go, and it just popped in my head. And
there's a transfer department, I think it is, at the school district, and you have to apply through them. Now, I mean, of course, the school you're going to, they have to be able to like take the form. As far as I know, you kind of got to do a little bit of lobbying with the school where you're going, and of course, that means if other people are trying to get there, it makes it more difficult because demand. But I mean, all of this is changing now because the rules have changed.
Yeah, and we have a new superintendent, right?
Changed. New superintendent.
And from before, because you didn't tell anybody who you were, so tell everybody who you are, what you do. Why you're important enough to be sitting here talking to me about this?
I'm Jarue's brother. That's why I'm important enough. That's it. No, I'm James Wright. I'm a community developer at heart, economic developer at heart. And then I do other things, neighborhood advocacy. Right now I'm the president of my local rec, Christie Rec Center 56 is Christian.
We gonna be hooping in there, y'all. Yes, we're gonna be hooping in there.
And then I live in West Philly, grew up in Southwest Philly, work in West Philly, doing community development work. And I most recently ran for office. That was my big thing. I wasn't successful, but I learned a lot. And
I learned a lot.
We learned a lot.
Yes.
And it was exciting. So, but yeah, like Ruth said, man, we're just about the people in the neighborhood, and anything involving the people on the block is what we care about. So we're constantly learning, trying to get information. Except for this question that he threw me, you know.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is we're going to look on the school district website.
Yeah.
That's where the answers are. Yo, and I say this a lot because the brother made it clear to me. I hadn't looked on it, but what is the brother's name? I don't like saying so and so's husband. Like I don't like doing that. I don't like saying the wife's name to tell you who the husband is, or the husband's name to tell you know what I mean? Like, what is Is it Horace? Baba Horace?
Oh,
Baba
yeah,
Horace.
go ahead.
Yes, that's his name. I don't
yeah.
want to say Mama Gail's husband. I don't like introduce like tell that's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I
I don't
got
I don't
you.
like
I'm
I
about to
don't
look
like
this
that.
joint up
You
right
know what
now.
I'm saying? Because he's his own man and she's her own woman. So he said that when he was doing the research about why he thinks the right strategy for the school district is to bring back junior high school, which when he explained it, and then I know what I know about just one thing, rites of passage, and how important it is to young people, little people transition into bigger people. And we do need things that they should aspire to do. And the way that structure is, it makes you aspire to go to high school. And it separates the ages enough for children to have their own freedom and autonomy with that age group and that size and so forth and so on. And he had empirical evidence from the school district's own website.
Yeah, he did a lot of research.
Right, that
My man was
bolsters
on it.
his point. You know what I mean? And another John that was very salient to me, that jumped out to me, and I say it a lot, is the fact that he said the whole 25-1 doesn't have to be that way if you looked at the number of people that were on the school district's payroll as teachers. So if you saying you have all of these teachers and you start doing the math of how many teachers is on the payroll, it would actually be 18-1. So he didn't, he explained a little bit about how to enforce it and all that. I don't remember all of those details, so I'm not going to, jack his studies up. You know what I'm saying?
He studied.
He did his thing. He said he did it for 2 years. He ain't had nothing else to do. And that inspired me too, because it's like you could find space to introduce new information. And that was a space and time where people could have came out speaking different languages. You know what I'm saying? It was just that deep. Like, people was really in the house like that. Like, it was blowing my mind when people been like, I literally been in the house for 6 months. That blew my mind. I was like, what? You're on the street. You know that, right? You're not in jail. Nobody got to, it's nobody would.
You don't have to stay.
You don't have to stay in. You don't really have to stay in.
But the streets were empty, though. Man.
The streets was empty. Listen, and I don't want to get off track with this. I loved it. I could drive any kind of way I wanted. Everywhere. It took exactly 20 minutes to get there. No matter where you were at in the city. During the pandemic, I could get to you in 20 minutes. And I loved it. I was Mario Andretti. During the
only car on
only car going on 90. I was loving it. Got pulled over a couple times. I'm like, come on. There's nobody out here. Who's in danger? Like, come on. They was like, but the car can disintegrate. Like, man, there's nobody out here, yo. And they took the tickets. Like, I didn't get them. Like, they was like, cool, good looking. One of the things that did throw me off a little bit when they said you had to have papers during the pandemic to be out, to be out there.
Yeah.
And I actually got papers from the home health aid company that I was working for, Red Lion at the time.
It was called essential worker.
Yes, that I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I done seen all the movies for the most part. I done read all the books, all the good conspiracy books. Like, I done read the good ones where it gets heavy into politics and religion and ceremonies, and I'm talking about the good shit. And the good shit always tell you about some point in time where you're going to have a mark or some papers or something's going to go on. We going to all get tagged.
It's pretty close.
And I was like, I got paid. I said, oh, the fuck up. And yo, mind you, I just came home. So I'm like, damn, I did all this time and y'all gonna do this shit to me when I come home. I gotta be a renegade. This shit gotta turn into Walking Dead out here. It got
Walking Dead. I was waiting for you to pull it up. I was like, you gonna mention Walking Dead. Yep.
Nah. All right, just aside. I know I went on a tangent with that one, but so what I do want to talk to you about is, I'm doing the Credible Messenger.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't feel like I know. A lot of things in my life just like piece together. So I had a situation where I could potentially been working with the Salvation Army, but I really wanted to do it just to have access to their facilities. And then the Salvation Army is like trying to rebrand because it's like, people need these facilities, and for some reason people don't come to the Salvation Army because they have a certain mindset about it. So they are trying to rebrand and just get the community to come in the Salvation Army more. So that was kind of like what the marriage would be, and it fell through. And then, the credible messenger thing came about, and we are in the 18th district, and that's where I'm from. That's where my brother lives. You know what I'm saying? That's where he's from, in and around that whole area. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things that kind of made me think, you know how people be like, look at God. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, my condolences to the brother. I didn't necessarily know him, but I knew other people were telling me highly about him.
Talking about Gene Lett. Mm-hmm. He was that bowl in the neighborhood, he really was at the rec, has a whole basketball program. During the pandemic, mm-hmm. He was outside during the pandemic every week with the Skills and Drills program, helping police and community collaborate, helping young people learn different skills in football and basketball, and then also helping them to connect around issues of life, mm-hmm. coaching them, mentoring them on the court and off the court. Him, his son, and his whole community, they're still doing that program, right? In honor of his legacy. But through that process, of course, he was already connected, mm-hmm. but he became more connected, came to the forefront, and when the advisory council transitioned, he became the president, and we were off to a pretty good start, and he passed away, maybe about a week ago now. Mm-hmm. Had a heart attack. So, it's really devastating when you think about how, fortunately, it wasn't a negative thing in mm-hmm. terms of violence, but it's devastating because he was the focal point for many of those young men, right? And even for the community at right. all levels. And so, there was an outpouring of love at his funeral. Mm-hmm. There's outpouring of love at the rec center, at the repast, and I'm sure going forward, people are just going to be figuring out how they can keep the Skills and Drills program and other programs that he had set up. I think he set up a new program called Degree Chasers. And I was the vice president under him. And because of, what happened, I've become the interim president and, potentially maybe the president of the advisory committee. Right. And we're just going to just do our best to really fulfill, some of the ideas that he had, along with other ideas that community members had, mm-hmm. To really help that rec center. Right. It has a great legacy. Especially when it comes to basketball. And what we were trying to do was open it up so it's not just about basketball. Mm-hmm. It's about more things. There's a computer lab there. There's a gaming room there. There's an arts and crafts room. Mm-hmm. And it's going to get totally renovated in the next couple of years. Wow. Inside and outside. So, we on the mat.
And I think, excuse me, my bad. I think that's becoming the way that we have to do a lot of things. It has to be a holistic approach.
Definitely.
Like you can't have things that you can't have institutions or facilities or even organizations that just do one thing. It's like, this is what we do. We do reentry. We don't do anything else. You can't, it just don't work. Like, at this point, varied, like, man. It's just every point of entry that somebody meets you, they're going to ask for another resource. Every time. If they come for food, they're going to ask for another resource. If they come for clothes, it's another resource that they're going to need. And I'm not saying that where they're going to ask. If you were to ask, when they come to get the clothes, and you like, you okay? Is everything all right? And they were like, well, I could take some food.
Like an onion.
Right. So it's no thing like if you just give out food. I'm not saying that's wrong if you just do one thing, but it's like, the way the needs are of our populace right now, you can't be a one-stop. You can't be just one thing. You have to collaborate, or you have to become more holistic in your approach. The 360 approach. There's a lot of different, words that people use and phrases people use, but it has to become that. You can't just play basketball in the rec center.
No, you got to do a lot more.
Right.
There are a bunch of kids coming there, especially young women, young ladies that don't really play basketball, but they're in our rec center. So we got to figure out a way to engage them, help them to be more productive with their time at the rec center.
Listen, that's another thing, because that, what we want to do with Credible Messenger is do night basketball, because, we will be out in the 18th district Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8. And then Thursday through Sunday, the time frame is 6 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Wow.
And you're not necessarily going to be doing canvassing at 4 a.m. as far as literature. You're not going to be going to any home visits at that time. And you don't really want to like hang out in areas as like almost looking like security.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. So with me and Ty, and Ty Morris, this segue into about the brother. My condolences. Ty had just talked to him like 2 days before or a day before he passed away, and the conversation was going to be about us getting a credible messenger, and us being able to utilize the rec center to help engage the community, so they can know that we're around, and we just give more things for people to do. Idle time really is the devil's workshop. Like, it really is. There's studies out. Somebody just told me about boredom and what happens when people are bored, like what it does to the brain, the whole nine. I'm like, yo, but that's the same thing. Like, idle time is really the devil's workshop. Boredom, a lot of things are happening especially with young folks, because of boredom. They just bored. And it can get very extreme. And you be like, nah, he couldn't have did that just because he was bored. It's a young person. Like, what else? And I got to always do my preaching when it comes to young people. If they 16, it's your fault. Whatever adult got something to say, it's your fault. If they 15, it's your fault. Because I have empirical evidence that most people that's 15 and 16 only been on the planet for 15 or 16 years. I have empirical evidence that that's how long they've been around. That's number one. Nobody can disprove that. If they're 15 or 16, that means they only been around for 15 or 16 years.
So you saying that ain't enough time?
That ain't enough time, y'all.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hold up, but this is my other one, because I always got to get it in there. I'm going to let you go. If you're 15 or 16, it's a good chance that the whole time that you've been around, you have been 100% in somebody else's care. Not 75% in somebody else's care, not 50%. And if you go a little lower when they be talking crazy about the 12 and 11-year-olds, that's even less. I know for sure you've been in somebody else's care for 100% of the time that you've been on the planet. So if that is the case, somebody other than the person that's been on the planet for 11 years is the problem. I'm just saying, and I'm going to keep saying it to y'all, because I hate when people be like, them little motherfuckers over there, they just need to be parents of an adult. No, they leave them in there. They shouldn't have did it. What? He's 14. She's 13. You know what I mean? And I can
go that's real. That's real, though.
It's your fault.
That's real. I mean,
if
that's
you're 40, it's your fault.
Parent. That's how I feel as a parent. Up until, my daughter had to check me, but up until like 25, I feel like you're my responsibility 100%, because that's just how I think.
Listen.
I know. When I was in college, I
it's science that proves it. It's science that proves it. And it's again, it goes back to the rites of passage again. You know what I'm saying? Like, why we could use junior high school not just for education, but we could say, okay, a lot of programs can target that area, that time, that part of school. Like, you can have certain programs that only deal with the junior high school, because this is the transitional years. This is the years where we need to give them an idea of what it's going to look like to be an adult.
I'm not convinced on the junior high.
You not?
I'm not.
Give me some opposing. Give me some reasons why.
You know what? Because you think about being responsible, right? He made a good point, but based on how I've seen the young people in my world learn, the K through 8 was helpful, because there was that continuum where, your first grade teacher had connections to your 7th grade teacher, and they had this institutional knowledge about James as a kid, right? And so there wasn't any new game that you could play in 5th grade or 6th grade, because they already knew you. Okay. And they already knew your tricks, and they already knew how to put you in place and help you to learn what they needed you to do. So to me, I love that kind of continuum of care, of people knowing me and me being a part of a community, But I get the idea of there are certain levels where you learn and experience. So a middle schooler with a elementary school kid is not always healthy.
Right.
So some kind of way.
So no, I think.
How do we keep that? Because when you go from a middle school or elementary school, and then you graduate up into a junior high, and all these other elementary schools come in there.
Right.
Then you get that element of chaos. You from over there, you from over there, you from over there. But if we all from 1st grade to 7th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade,
Mm-hmm.
you know, after a while.
I'm gonna
But I'm
bring it.
not an
I'm gonna bring it.
educator.
No,
I'm
no, no,
not.
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
not
But this
a
is a good. This is
pedagogy,
good.
whatever.
No, this is good conversation, and you do have experience. You know, dealing with the school system. You have 3 children in school, so
Yeah.
that gives you. And you went through school yourself.
I did.
So that's 4 people that you know for sure you were involved in. That's a lot of experience. But then you have involved yourself into the schools in other ways. So that's why I'm saying, like, you know, we ain't gonna say you're an expert, but you have a lot of good experience and you come from an educator. So that's a whole nother part of the experience of knowing how this thing goes. And it's multi-generational. You had the opportunity to be in the Philadelphia school system in a multi-generational way.
Yeah, that's
true. So what I'll say is, I know what you're talking about from K through 8th because of Taggart. That's your experience. And I have a lot of my family who experienced Taggart. And it was all in a good way. All of my family members who went to Taggart, they all graduated from high school at least. I could just give you that. They went to Taggart and all of them graduated from high school. Every last one of my family members, unless somebody can call me up and say Malik didn't graduate, everybody else did. So I know that it was a good school. I know that for sure. But then I went to Meade in North Philly, which I'm sure was a great school too. And it only went to 6th grade. And so my experience is a little biased, but I do think that 7th, 8th, 9th is a good joint. I do think K through 6 is good because it's crazy because I live down the street from my old elementary school now. So I ride by it more than I did in a long ass time. And one of the things that I just was realizing that I remember that when you was in kindergarten, you started on the bottom floor. Yeah. And then every grade you went higher, and then I forgot about that until I rolled by the school and looked at it because I went to Meade. And I always want to shout out to Meade because those women, and I remember all of them, and I had one black man, they were revolutionary teachers. So maybe it wasn't the how the grades were situated. Maybe it was the teachers. But I do think junior high school is, I do think the at least 7th and 8th. Yeah, 7th, 8th, 9th. That's how it was when I was.
When Baba Harris spoke on it, you know, I was curious, and I was like, you know what, I'll be willing to try that. I would put my son in the junior high. Right. You know, I mean, they did go to a middle school. And
this the other thing that he said when he was talking about it, and I just like. Talking about this is not like necessarily what the point of the conversation was going to be. I like talking about it because it's something that's very interesting. Our education is something that's very, 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 very important. I am a person who feel like you cannot do anything in this world without constantly having new information come in. If you don't, you will be, those who are not informed always get taken advantage of.
It's true.
Those who are not informed always, not sometimes, not maybe, always get taken advantage of. If you don't understand what's going on in any particular environment that you are in, you will be taken advantage of. It's just how it works. Seriously. You will be taken advantage. And you definitely, if not get taken advantage of, you will not get what you deserve. And some people may say, well, you didn't have the information, so you didn't deserve it. But I'm just saying, as a human right, we all deserve a lot of things. We all deserve abundance, you know, just as human beings. We all deserve abundance. You know what I mean?
It's there.
It's there. Exactly. So when we're talking about this, it's just interesting conversation. And then the other thing about it that the reason why I love to talk about it when I can is because how this brother, who is not a researcher, he, as far as I know,
not formally, but
he's always, but very intelligent brother. You could tell when you talk to him. You know what I'm saying? He's a building engineer. Well,
probably you could say a lifelong school advocate. I mean, they've been going to the SRC meeting in the past, the school board meeting now, for at least 20 years or more.
But
faithfully.
And I'm trying to stop saying but. Alongside that is he did the research. Like, I'm very impressed by that. I'm a person who is impressed by information, by intelligence. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he said, okay, here's an issue, here's a problem. I'm very aware of a lot of what's going on with it. I'm close to it. I got some time on my hand. I'm complaining. So let me go and love myself enough to research it and really know what I'm talking about. And he came up with some really, really good stuff. And the thing about that was he showed the timeline. to prove his point as well, where he said this is where the schools were when they stopped junior high school, and this is where we at now.
That's a good point.
That right there, it didn't necessarily sell it.
So much
because you could do different. I know, like if you over 15 years, it's so many different things that you could tinker with, even outside of the school, that's going to affect the school.
Yep.
And people won't even be aware of it. You can affect certain demographic, the neighborhood around the school, and it'll affect what's going on in the school. And people will think it's the school, it's the school, it's the school, and it's actually little things that are happening, like environmental shit. It goes from being all abandoned buildings and all that shit around the school, and that's what the children have to walk through in and out of every day, to a green space around the school. That by itself will change how things happen in that school. It's proven. Y'all can go look it up. Beautifying a neighborhood can change how these babies think when they're walking through the neighborhood to when they get to the school.
100%.
It can bring down chaos. They can leave home stressed, walk through the park, and we can test everybody that come out the park. I put my life on it, stress levels will be down.
100%.
So it's things that can happen around the school that don't even go in the school that can affect what's happening in the school, and we'll think it's the school, it's the teachers, and it's something.
It's the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. So
the whole ecosystem. The problem is, the money isn't there to keep it consistent. You know what I mean? Like you got all these different models coming in and people making money off of education, and so everything is moving back and forth. So you might have someone saying a junior high strategy will work or all elementary school strategy will work. We don't have enough longevity to really see. There's data to support both ideas, and that's why we have them present. I think if we were able to get some consistency, some longevity, along with the research, we might be able to see some solid results. Because it's all a matter of like chipping away at it. Educating kids is difficult, right? Especially in changing urban environments. At the same time that we're looking at the data over the last 20 years, neighborhoods have completely changed over the last 20 years. Starting in 2000, we could even say those neighborhoods were changing before then. But when you look at, say, they call it Graduate Hospital now, right? Before it was just South Philly. Those schools have changed. The people that live on those blocks have changed. The kids walking back and forth where they go, the corner stores, the churches, everything is different. The rec center, who's using it, who's not using it. Everything is different.
Yo, I went into the Y. It's probably, and I'm dated. I know y'all can say it, but I was in the Y the other day on Master Street. Excuse me, on Broad and Master, and it was a lot of white people in there. It was a lot of white people, and people be like, "All right, this is not new. I've been going. For anybody that I've been going. And I only been, and before I left, white folks was not going to that Y, but now it was just so regular, and I was like. Just that whole part of North Philly being down there now is like, what the hell? And then they knocked down McDonald's. And I don't give a fuck about McDonald's for real, but I'm just saying they knocked the McDonald's down on Broad and Girard. Listen. That
was a bad McDonald's.
Yes, but that McDonald's been around. That was the first McDonald's in the city, y'all. Did y'all know that?
I didn't know that.
I made that shit up, but it been there a long time.
I'm sitting there tracking. I'm like, wait a second.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't know about
I'm just saying. It was up there. It was up there when the projects was up. You know what I'm saying? That McDonald's was there when the projects was up. When I lived in North Philly, in February 1st, I tell y'all all the time. Yep. In February, I tell y'all all the time, February 1st is my birthday. I turn 45. Show the boys some love. I accept gifts. I do money, whatever you got, I take it. But I'm saying I'm 45 to say when I was a baby, we moved up North Philly when I was 4. That joint was there. It was there in the 80s. That joint on Broad and Girard was there. That McDonald's was there in the 80s. So that's why I'm just saying, like, to see that joint beat up right now, just gone. I'm like, people talking about they took Checkers away. I'm like, what? They took McDonald's. People used to have birthday parties. That one blows my mind that a lot of people don't know they used to have birthday parties at McDonald's. Like it was Celebration Station or something. Chunky cheese. Remember McDonald's had an upstairs? And it had, it was see-through and it had like little ride, like whatever they had in there, the Hamburglar toy or whatever. It was just a lot of shit in there. And people used to enjoy That's listen, man. I don't want to get into McDonald's
because
y'all
enjoy McDonald's. I'm just saying.
No, you can't. you can't because at this point you know it's not real food. Stop eating it.
I mean,
and listen. I ain't Oprah, so nobody knows me. So McDonald's is not gonna come be like, shut this shit down, because you know they did that shit to Oprah. McDonald's didn't do it, but when she said that shit about beef or milk or something like that, yo, they was on her ass, and she felt that pressure because it was all white folks, rich white folks that had farms and industry and shit, and it's like, all our wives watch you. And if you telling them all to be vegan, these bitches don't know that's going to make us broke. And they listening to you, and they turning on beef and milk, and what are you doing? And they made Oprah apologize.
Wow.
Check it out. Go look it up. The other thing about...
Did you make that up too?
No, I didn't.
All right.
Go look it up. Go look it up. Go look that John up when she said something about milk or beef or something, and they was on her ass. And she felt that pressure. Press conferences was had and all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? But
that's
I digress.
For you.
Yes, that is. But I can say what I say about McDonald's. It's not real food. Get out of the fucking matrix. And I mean it like that because I tell people about the part of the matrix when the boy be saying about the steak and he know it ain't real, but let him have the illusion. Let him have his delusion. I'm not letting y'all have it because it's killing us.
I like a quarter pounder every now and then.
Wow. Look what you do.
I can let the fries go because them joints, it's something bad. You know that them fries.
What is this guy doing right now? This is the stuff that really blows my mind about intelligent people when they know they not saying intelligent shit and they just try to ride with it. Like, the fries are not that great. We can have a debate. They're not real, but the quarter pounder is still real. That's the only real sandwich that they got. It's the only real sandwich that they got left on the menu. Everything else is fake,
Everything else is fake.
Everything else is fake.
McRib. What's a McRib?
What the hell is a McRib? It's spare ribs. You got a fake spare rib, a fake pork rib.
That joint is wild.
That's why that joint got beat down, because the Muslims in Philadelphia is tired of McDonald's with that fake spare rib. And you shouldn't be giving people the spare rib. No pork. Why McDonald's selling spare ribs? Why are they selling pork ribs in Philadelphia? All right.
Money.
Everything is about money. So the next thing that I wanted to ask you about is how do you know anything about the Credible Messenger model? What's going on with it? Are you just learning about it?
I'm just learning about it.
So I was telling people because they are doing this in other cities, and I was telling people before. Do we remember her name? We don't remember her name. The sister who created the model from Chicago. The Muslim sister. Now, you do have a lot of brothers and sisters from like the 70s and 60s gang era who say that they had similar things to Credible Messengers. And I'm glad that those brothers talk about that history because nonprofit money, grants, and all of those things are very cyclical.
Yeah.
And look it up. Look it up. When our neighborhoods get flooded with those monies. And I don't even care if people want to have a debate of whether it's intentional, they're trying to help, whatever. Because I'm one of those people is when you get your check or whatever it is, I'm going to be able to tell what you did with it. We can have the debate about where you got the money from. We can have that debate. We can always have that debate because all American money has blood on it to some extent. I'm just telling y'all what we dealing with. It ain't just dirty because cocaine is on it. Okay? And that's another study. I'm not making that up. Most dollar bill that you handle got some type of cocaine residue on it.
Fentanyl now.
Oh shit. They went up and then they went down. But anyway, all American money, because of the system that we work in, y'all, it's blood on it. You know what I'm saying? So we all grapple with that and using money as a resource to say that we're trying to help our people or any group of people or whoever we're trying to help with the dollar bills that we make.
That's an interesting statement, right? Because there are some people that think that their money is pure, right? And so they think, because follow the money. That's the phrase. Yeah, follow the money.
Yeah.
And whenever you follow the money, you do end up with some.
It's blood on it. I participate in it. I get paid checks. I spend my money doing whatever. So my thing is to that is like, I'm not the end all be all who's pure and righteous in the city or any other city when it comes to community work. I'm not the dude. You know what I'm saying? But I know I move with a certain kind of integrity. and I critique it and I maintain it, and it's intentional. I tell you a lot about who I am and what I do is intentional because we need to start moving more intentional. The whole "that's how I am" shit, I'm fried on that. You're not gonna keep getting away with everything by saying, that's how I am. Yeah, that's what I'm punching in your face. Like, no. But all of the money has some level of blood on it. If you're making American money. You know what I'm saying? If you're wearing American clothes, even if you say, "Oh, I'm making my own brands," well, did you make everything did you make the clothes from scratch? And even if you do, are you producing silk and stuff like that? Do you have that? Because that comes from weird places where people are being abused in shops to make it, and animals are being killed to get all the silk from a certain place. And yeah, that's what's going on in the world. So all right. So all of our shit got blood on it to some extent. So I look at it like I know you. You know what I'm saying? And I know when you get an opportunity to have any type of resource, this is what you do with it. And that's how I ride. That's how I ride with you. That's how I look at who's what, and you know what I mean? And we can have a lot of debates about concepts and how it is and that leads into the class that you teach. Can you tell us about it a little bit?
Yeah. So I co-teach a course at Temple in the School of Architecture.
Go ahead.
My colleague is Tayo Wynn. She runs Community Design Collaborative. She's an architect, affordable housing developer. I'm a community developer. We split the course up. We teach several different modules and a lot of different things, a lot of topics: social impact business, criminal justice, reform, affordable housing, design justice, creative placemaking. We talk about neighborhood change, neighborhood planning, the whole history of America and the community development corporations and the laws around housing, redlining, of course. All of that's in there. And we get a lot of different students. Most of them are architects, but then we get film students, business students, bio students, because it's an elective.
A journalist.
A journalist was in there. The course is called Guerrilla Altruism. So the idea is that Temple students live in North Philly, and, how can they be good neighbors, right? How can they figure out how to leave a positive impact on the community as opposed to the negative thing? So, we start out, we walk them through the neighborhood. We go east instead of west because they're very familiar with the higher numbers, 16th, 17th, but none of them have been to 10th Street. None of them have been to 8th and Diamond. We literally walk to 8th and Diamond and walk straight down 8th Street, all wiggling in between the blocks.
Man, bring them to the center.
Next year.
Okay.
We're going to walk north next time.
Come around York, because this is the thing. Hopefully next year, those small pockets where we know that black people live all in and around Broad Street and it ain't looking that good. For everybody that think Temple got all the way up to Stenton Ave, they don't. No. They got pockets still, and it's still places where it look crazy, and it's like in these little small, it's probably 8 blocks this way, 8 blocks that way, and it's hit. You know what I'm saying? And our people still living in there, so that's something that I would love for y'all to see, the contrast that you could walk 3 blocks up,
2-3 blocks,
and you so safe and comfortable. I see y'all out here walking around with y'all shorts on and all that, laughing and joking with no shirt. Why Temple kids don't never got no damn jackets on, yo? It be cold on Broad Street, yo. Y'all always running around
old,
like,
man.
what's it? Like,
you old, bro. It ain't cold out there. You just old.
Nah, listen, man. It be cold. It be cold because I see chill bumps and you doing this. You're cold. I had people tell me I can see that you cold. Chill bumps, everybody like, you cold? Nah, I ain't cold. I'm chill. You fucking cold. Shut up. You're cold. I see it. Your body responds a certain way when it's cold. It's physical. It's anatomical. Stop it. But
so we teach them all those different things, and probably a lot more that I'm forgetting about. But the idea is that we want to teach them how cities are created, how cities grow and move and flex. So we also have projects in there. One cool project is called a stakeholder mapping project. So they are able to, we assign them different neighborhoods, different organizations in those neighborhoods, and they look at, say, Cornerstone, right? Who's Cornerstone and who are all the people groups? What are all the people groups attached to them? Their funders, their partners, their clients, right? Their volunteers, all that stuff. And then you create this, what's Cornerstone's ecosystem, right? And so the idea is that they're learning all these different skill sets, so at the end of the semester, they can put together their own altruistic project. And it can be a short-term project, it can be a midterm project, or a long-term project. It can go anywhere from creating a Cornerstone type thing, or down to a farmer's market or a tutoring program, right? It's just an idea, but they have to create this concept, right? They got to research it, pull up the demographics, and figure out how would this project really work if they had the resources to make it happen.
So what he just told us is he'll be coming down a cornerstone and sit in the office with me and give me, you should probably do this. This will probably look a little better if you do that. And like, because he didn't know I was like, yeah, I'm sure I'll come talk to your class because at some point you're going to be sitting in my office. And we're going to be having some strong conversations. And again, this is why I'm blessed. Because the things that I'm doing right now, he's already done them. And he's directed and he's put the stuff together and seen it grow and help it build and all that. And I just don't come to him because I know he's doing a little something different now. And he's trying to build that out. And I kind of know what I'm doing. Believe it or not. I kind of know what I'm doing. So he's like one of the people that I'm blessed to have. Like he's the ace in the hole. Like if it ever get like I'm at a point where nothing is happening, it's not working. How do I make it, how do I make it jump? Or if something does happen and I need counsel on how do I make this right? You know what I'm saying? This is somebody I can walk up the street, literally. He's at Temple.
I mean, like, here's the thing about Philly. Philly is full of professionals that are like me because the nonprofit sector in Philly is just so rich, And so while I'm an expert, right, I know many other experts because we've been doing this for a while. So you talk about how money is cyclical. That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we saw where I work now, I work at People's Emergency Center in West Philly. Mm-hmm. We are, full service, nonprofit, the whole nine. We did a neighborhood planning process about a decade ago now, so it's dated. Mm-hmm. But when we were doing that planning process, my colleague was like, yo, do you know that some of the same programs and projects that we're doing now was happening in the 70s? It's all cyclical. These ideas are always going back and forth. The thing is, we need to figure out how to reach a high level of consistency to see real change. So, poverty plays into that because poverty forces people to move around. Mm-hmm. So that community leader or whoever that was there helping you to implement some ideas got evicted. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So then you got to find somebody
Or he
else.
went to prison.
Or he went to prison.
Or he passed away. Or he got that windfall job and said, listen, I'm out of here, y'all.
Move to Pittsburgh.
Right. You know what I mean? But
all of that is real.
The point, the one thing I do take a lot of pride in this is like, damn, I do have this brother, and he can be honest and tell you, like, he hasn't really come to me with a lot of like program management questions where it's like, what should I do at this point? And the reason why that's big, because it tell you how amazing black folk is. That's number one. And a lot of the people who don't look like us that get a lot of the things, this is something that they do. They lean on it. He would usher me in. He would come get me like, yo, all right, this is how we do this. You know what I mean? And I'm ready for it. Whereas it's like, I know he could do that, and we don't have to do it. But he's my ace in the hole. Like, it's nothing nobody can tell me about this thing that I'm doing. The people I'm working with, the people I work for, as much as I love them and I appreciate all the opportunity, and I might get fired and they be like, well, tell James to get you a goddamn job. And he probably could. I'm just telling you, he probably could. I don't have no problem with nepotism, y'all. It's not something I don't care. My brother really, got me a job. To be honest,
nobody has a real problem with nepotism until it's somebody else.
Yes.
But when they got it going on, everything is good.
But that's one of the things that allows me to know why I push so hard for our people and new information and greatness and everybody saying we God and all of those things. We the first. I'm with all that because it is a time for us to wake up. It is a time we're being outsmarted at this point. It's really it's really for real at this point. I feel like we're being outsmarted, and and I'm gonna show you how we being outsmarted. Because enough of us don't have information. If we found an apparatus just as strong as the apparatus to dumb us down, if we came up with an apparatus just as strong to rival that, we're being outsmarted because of that. Like, we can't educate enough of our people to understand en masse. Because they're still going to the schools that were prepared by the people who benefit from them not knowing. So for me, that's like the chase that's on, educating people. Forget the conspiracy theory education. Not saying that it's not relevant. And I never tell you to forget the history thing, because that's important. The history of who you are is very important, because that's identity. We're not gonna be able to hold nothing together without that. Yeah. But how can we educate people faster? How can we get young folks ready faster? Because it's possible. I'm talking about us though. So I just had a conversation with my niece and nephew about being in school. The reason why I asked it, because they going through that situation with the exit papers.
Right.
And I know because of the country that they live in, they need the paper. They need that diploma or GED. We need that. It's like a gatekeeper thing. You don't have to necessarily know anything, to be honest, but you need that to at least get into the door. So my thing is, education is really at the crib. So when I'm around them, I lecture for the most part. They never tell me, Uncle Jarue, you getting on my nerve, you talk too much, but they know everything is going to be an elaborate explanation, and I'm going to say shit at least 3 times. But I'm doing that for a reason.
It's always been that way. You know, I mean, when you think about it, how many people back in the day, there was a wonderful episode of this podcast called Through Line, right? Mm-hmm. And it came out around Mother's Day, and it talked about the mothers of civil rights leaders. They talked about Malcolm X's mom. They talked about Dr. King's mother, and I forgot. And they talked about Baldwin's mom. Mm-hmm. And they said that she was saying that these men, right, these great black leaders, Baldwin, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, were primarily nurtured educationally, right, by their mothers. So that's telling you that it's happening in the house. Mm-hmm. And it's always been that way. It's always happening in the house. You got your formal and you got your informal lines of education. Somewhere along the way that broke down.
Well, one of the places, because I get into this with Dr. Wilson a lot, is Brown versus Board of Education. That was one of the breakdown points. Now, we probably went into it with one idea. I'm not saying that black folk, some did, and I know we don't like to say that.
That's a resource problem, though.
Right.
And you could argue, I'm not a big charter school guy, even despite the press. But you could argue that charter schools are an attempt to try to get back to that where we are educated
that independence.
On our own.
Yeah, that independence. Yeah. But it's getting convoluted, because Todd Morris, he is no, I'm not gonna tell y'all what he is, because I'll let him tell y'all. But Todd Morris is a dope dude. Like, when you get in a conversation, because I love black people that got different perspective, different points of view, but they allow you to know. I love black people just the same, because that's one of the problems that we have. It's like, if I say that I'm a Hebrew Israelite, because that's the thing everybody talking about now, and he's a 5%er, I don't see the issue. You know what I'm saying? Because we both saying that we love black people. So what is the issue? That should be a dinner debate. When we go out into the world, your forces and my forces are working for black people. There's basic things that all black people we need.
But they're not even talking about, that's the challenge, right, with that whole conversation. Mm-hmm. They're not talking about the message around black people. They're talking about the other message. What do these Hebrew Israelites say? Right. You know what I mean? So, but that's a good way to arrest the narrative. Is like, we're talking about black people. We're not talking about you.
Yeah, and it's like another one of them Jones. Like, certain things shouldn't. My whole thing be like, certain things shouldn't shut down the conversation that we need to be having as black people with each other constantly. We don't really necessarily need to be having conversations with other people, for real. We need to be having a running dialogue with each other, because we trigger each other. Black people go into spaces and trigger other black, and it shouldn't be like that. And I'm not saying that always happens, because somebody can always say, no, whenever I go into a space, I be looking for, I do too. I'm very welcoming and open to all black people wherever I go. I love it. I want it. Tell me your whole life. Can I come to the crib? You make macaroni and cheese. Like, I sleep on the floor. I'm cool. I don't feel threatened by black people at all or nothing. I'm not scared of black men. I'm not scared of young black men. I don't think all black women is savages. I don't have no fear of black people at all. None. So that's that. We need to have that conversation, because we trigger each other, yo. Yeah. We go into space and we start fighting about shit that don't matter when we supposed to be moving together. We can have that conversation in the bathroom while I'm helping you fix your shit and you help me. The shit you said was stupid. Well, nigga, you got it on some bullshit. And we get out there. What the fuck y'all talking about? We together though. You know what I'm saying? This what we need to move on it. That's the real move. And that's the reason why I'm saying we being outsmarted too. Because it sounds so simple, but I know it's a lot of trauma.
I mean, so you dipping into the whole problem with like assimilation and integration.
Yeah.
Right?
The duality. The blood on our hands.
Yeah.
You know, the boys talked about something that he literally went through, and it was very damaging to black people. He rolled with people like Margaret Sanger. Read about it. Read about it. Gave her the okay. This is the man that wrote about duality, the duality that an African has in America by you being a part of the same system that's working to destroy you, to subjugate you. Any money, that's why I said all the money got blood on it. It all do. And we trying to navigate that. How can I say that I'm a freedom fighter, I'm a liberator, I'm a lover of black bodies, and I'm a lover of black people, and I got to deal with this money? Even to get away from the money, I got to make money. To put myself in a position where I don't need the money anymore, I have to make money. Yep. That's crazy. But this is a dude who, as intelligent as he was, he dealt with that duality in a very pernicious way to black people, as much as we lift him up. And he did amazing, genius shit. But W.E.B. Du Bois. And then one of the things that burned me out about Du Bois, I'm not going to lie. Du Bois is like 90 plus, right? And he living in Africa, I think, at the time. And now you want to tell me how you knew and you messed up and you America is this and that. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this is just me. You ain't gotta ride with me. And if the ancestors are not pleased, I'm just being honest. You knew that before you turned 96, bro. You just did. That story that you told us why you moved and all that, because one thing I do know, American comfortability is a hard thing to fight. You know what I'm saying? American comfortability.
It is. And even when we go back to the continent, we looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's real.
That John a crazy John, man.
They don't really want to be in the village. Not for real, for real. They don't really want to go to the village. They want to know, they got McDonald's over there?
Yeah! Yo, listen, I told him today, he's like, what am I coming on the show for? I think it was yesterday. And I said, because you are somebody like my brother Mark. Shout out to Mark. Mark always come on. Somehow, whenever Nick don't come, and you know Mark Mile, we all brothers with Mark Mile, they blood brothers. So I know he probably get the word like Nick not gonna be there. Mark always slide up. You know what I'm saying? And Mark, I love Mark. I appreciate that brother. You know what I'm saying? Because he come up. And last week he did something that was funny. Like, I went on one of my Johns, right? And Mark was like, so we talking about XYZ. And I was like, okay, that was the cue. Get back on. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that was dope. I meant to say that to him, too, because I picked up on it when he did it, but it was good look. Like, I needed it. So I told my brother, I have black luminaries that move around me, yo. And why they can't come on here and wax poetic about shit they really know about. So this is somebody that I actually know, and he got the credentials. He ain't even tell y'all all of it. So why can't he just come on here and talk about the city? Talk about black folk. Talk about education. Why? We run with gods, y'all. I'm telling y'all, appreciate each other, man. We about to be out of here. This PSA, Philly service announcement. This is my brother James. The Queen, I'm knocking shit down, but the Queen, raw can and get better, baby. Love, support, grace, social activism, resources, and arts.
I need a name.
That's what we doing out here. I'm the assist. That's what y'all gonna start calling me now.
You the assist. What am I?
The developer. The real developer, like that, because we bang out with the developers. Ah, man, we got so much we can talk about.